Yellow. Before we begin, like, share, and subscribe, and now let's get on with it, shall we? Is it a good idea to buy a rifle? Let's go through the pros and cons of it. We'll start with one that is both a pro and a con. The pro being that with a good rifle, you now possess a effective home defense tool. However, the con is the effectiveness comes down to the person. As with any tool, whether it be for home projects or self-defense, one requires the time to become familiar with proper handling of that tool. And in the case of a rifle, it's a good idea to invest in training courses, or at the very least learning drills and tests you can run at home in order to train oneself to be able to use their tool effectively, which takes time. You have to purchase ammunition and whatnot, any accessories you want to have. This process can take time and money, of course. How much comes down on how much you're willing to spend, as there are many good training exercises you can do at home if you have the property for it. If not, you have to go to the range, which can have its own cost to it. And not all training exercises you can perform to become more proficient with your rifle can be done at the range. And training courses tend to be a bit on the pricier side of things, especially the good ones. Although there are some really good, affordable ones out there, but affordability comes down to the person's interpretation of that word, and of course the circumstances of the person interested. Now, a pure con of owning a rifle is the fact that in today's political climate, it instantly puts a target on your back for anyone with an anti-gun cause, as there are many who feel people shouldn't be able to own firearms at all, or the firearms they can own should be very limited and highly restricted in the ability to obtain the ones you can get. They don't feel safe around people using or owning firearms, so they will deny everyone else the ability to do the same, enforcing their point of view upon everyone else. Firearms are a controversial topic nowadays, as there are those who, from their point of view, feel that people who enjoy having or feel they need firearms to protect themselves, or flat out do need them for personal protection, are part of the problem with the escalating violence in society. Although they themselves are also contributing to that aggression by effectively telling their neighbor that they don't have the same rights as them, but they are not too concerned with that aspect. Their only concern is to take from you what they feel you should not have. An obvious pro is the fact that firearms generally only increase in value as long as they are well maintained over time. And on top of that, if you become proficient in its use, you have one of the most effective home defense tools you could possibly get your hands on. So, a good rifle is like a good long-term investment. It has practical use and long-term increase in value, usually, as its value depends on the sheer production of it. The more of something, the less valuable it tends to become. And on top of that, if it's rare or unique or has a high demand for it, the value will go progressively up. However, if there's no demand for it, even if it's rare, you might not be able to get much of all for it. It might just be something that is a good wall hanger, a conversation starter. You don't know. Markets can shift rather rapidly over time. Yeah, it might be in the time of your children or your grandchildren when you've handed it down to them and them to their children when it finally becomes super valuable. Or it might even become super valuable not long after you buy it. I've seen a rifle start at $1,000 or even less, and then within a month or sometimes within the first couple of weeks start going up in price due to how many people bought them up and there being a large enough demand for them, especially if they're a surplus rifle. Also, the value can be determined by whatever you put on it. Some attachments might increase the value, some might decrease the value. However, a potential con is the fact that today your rifle may be legal, but with the current political climate, or if it shifts in a particularly aggressive regulatory manner, you could see a trend wherein your rifle you bought today, it'd be flat out banned from being sold later. So once you got it, you can't resell it, so it loses a lot of that potential value for you. Or just flat out might become illegal to own as well. And then you either got to turn it in or hide it and run afoul of the law. Although a potential pro to that is the fact, as people found out during Prohibition, if someone has it and someone else wants it, the value can potentially go straight through the roof. Well, that's going to be all for now. Thank you for your time, and see you around.